starting even deeper. Yeah, our first session of the summit is about to start, and I am having the joyous pleasure to introduce you to our first visionary guest, Wendy Robertson Fyfe. Wendy have devoted a lifetime to reawakening soulful, indigenous, and ancestral memory through the deep listening and remembering all life as an embodied, animated, mysterious we. And yeah, they are opening this summit space for all of us. And this has more meaning, a little bit more meaning to the two of us in particular, as they were the first guide, soul initiation guide, who deeply encouraged me personally to step into this dangerous terrain of this work of soul. And why am I saying this is because I believe we all need this kind of person. We all need this kind of presence and guide to invite us, to lure us, and to trust us enough to usher us further and deeper onto our own journey. So I'm completely, deeply grateful for her trust in me. To me, Wendy is embodying an acute awareness, offering their attention and gift of seeing in service for the individual journey as well as the collective of evolution. They, and you will see, they embody a graceful yet fierce, mysterious, and wise elderhood, sprinkled with poetic attention to life's melodies. Truly inspiring. This is truly inspiring. So, welcome, dear one, Wendy Robertson Fyfe. I am giving you the word.
What a beautiful introduction. Thank you, and how beautiful to be asked to be here with you all today, and also a deep low bow to you. I mean, look at what you and your fellow folk there have offered, this feast over 3 days, and this is kind of no mean achievement to gather these folks together who are so otherwise busy, and I'm just astonished. It's so beautiful what you're doing here, and beautiful that you're all arriving around this feasting table with such deep spring waters arising from the depths. What a feast, what a treat. Thank you. So thank you for your invitation. And before we start, there are 2 things I'd like to do. One is just a warm invitation to show your faces. And in that, this warm invitation to be here fully present with everybody else here. And what if it makes a difference to show your face? What if it makes all the difference that you show your face? And I, for one, would certainly love to see your faces, because I know some of you, but I don't know others. And whilst I know there is a deep space for the unseen in this world, I would love to see you all showing up here. And leaving that, of course, up to you, but to know that you're welcome and it may make a difference. And secondly, before we start, or really as to start, is to invite us to see who else is here, maybe beyond a name that is already on the screen. So I'm thinking maybe the chat will be open just for a little while for you to kind of offer something in, but don't let the chat put you off the experience. Maybe you can chat in, notice who of your land is with you right now. It might be, how might you describe something of your land? For me, thinking of the birds, you might hear them, the birds in the garden. I have many birds in the garden. I might hear the sea. The sea is just down the road. So the sea is very present, often here with the song of the sea. The tulips are out in the garden. The tulips are here. The worms in the earth. The snails that are out eating all the seeds I'm planting. So who of you, if you could, welcome to write in the chat, who is of your land? How might you describe even just one of the beings? Maybe a mountain or pines. Yes, it might be rocks. Sparrows, cherry blossom. Oh, it's that time of year for cherry blossom. Sparrows, stray cats, beautiful. And maybe bring in an ancestor, maybe one that Richard Vulture, Sandra Horio was speaking to, that has your hand right now. An ancestor. Might be human or more than human, other than human. I'm thinking of my mother, Patricia, my brother, Roger, father, Gordon, grandmother, Isabella, yew tree, the yew, what an ancestor. Cyanobacteria, who millions of years ago created the oxygen we're breathing, an ancestor. Son, Emmanuel, grandfather, Spaz, grandmother, Rose. Beautiful. Birch tree, grandfather. And the future ones. I think of mentioning my human ancestors. You can't see them because they're behind me. They've got my back. Maybe you can imagine some future ones. They're in front of me. They're invisible. They're not seen yet, so you can't see them, but they're there. Might imagine into some future ones. It might be future one is a new star up in that great sky. A new apple tree that I'm growing in the garden from seed. And you might also acknowledge yourself here as well, just something of you, and it might be also of your body. I'm thinking the moment of the bacteria in my gut Did you know there are more bacteria in your gut than there are in the Milky Way? Stars in the Milky Way. Isn't it just astonishing, isn't it? And apples are obviously an apple I ate is in my stomach. So maybe part apple before you right now. The violets, sweet Tara. My ear. There's a sense, isn't there, that some folks think that each part of our body has its own way of being in the world, in a conversation with other parts of our body. So I'll bring in my ear. Maybe my voice would be good for this session as well. And it may be that some of you have been diving more into soul and have some sense of a kind of deeper mythos identity, some identity that goes beyond what we may have known ourselves previously. So mine, for example, is some Paya of Earth Mother, very much kind of married to the canyon. So you can't see the canyon wall, but I'm completely married, joined to the canyon wall. So the canyon wall is here. So you might be getting this picture that we might be seeing the faces that we've warmly welcomed to show up today, and this vastness of what we bring with us and who we are. And I'm wondering, as we're speaking here, what happens in your body as you're bringing all of these ones in, all of the human, all of the more than human. How does it feel? Sensitivity in my belly. Something that comes to me as we're thinking here is one of the starting points about how we're held in place. We're held in place by all of these beings, the seen, the unseen, the mystery, soul, earth, stars of the future, the ancestors, the trees, the ladybirds. So it feels grounding. It does with me too. And I think in a culture that is so sort of individualistic and human-centric, it can be very isolating. We can forget that actually we're held in place by all these beings. And something to remember as you go through the 3 days that you two are held in place by the beings that you've spoken or not spoken, but are aware of more than 3/4 of an hour ago. So maybe already there is something shifting. And this is also why I've taken to describe myself and speak in terms of we. And this is what I mean by we. Otherwise, we forget. And I know many people use the I as a kind of multiplicity. For me, there's something about I want to kind of be part of that shifting of language and the playing with language and how that resonates or not. And sometimes I still use the I, and that's okay. it's a big thing to shift. It's a lifetime of using I in a culture that uses I. So when I remember, that's great, and when I don't, that's just fine too. So just to say, I might move in between. Okay, so is there anything else anyone just wants to put in the chat? Anyone that needs to be spoken? Any being, any feeling? Okay, so just note that grounding, feeling, and the sensitivity in the belly and whatever else. And I'm going to speak more in this Living Soulfully, this new poem that came through. What I'll say about poetry is that it's a way of getting out of the way, the poetry. So the poem for me is, or poem for us, is something that is living. It's an embodied, animate, alive thing. And quite often, the poem can be written, and I know I have to put it out in the world. I know we have to put it out in the world. And I haven't a clue what it's actually saying. I just know, we just know it has to go out. So quite often, we too are learning from the poem. So it's not this expert going out, it's something that's come from a deeper well, deeper knowing of Earth Mother, sometimes going by the way name of Holy Woman, remembering the holy in this life. So something might also come to us as we're reading it that might put me off on a completely different tangent to what I had planned. So we'll just see where this takes all of us. And whilst there isn't conversation here in a way that there might usually be, please note your own responses and where the poem takes you. That's the other thing I think. When we think a poem has a multiplicity of meanings and images and myths. So here is the poem. Celestial Landsong. I remember years ago walking in Beauty's Mesa near Beer's ears, tilting my head ever so slightly, as I'm wont to do at times, and hearing a song of the land, just one consistent note. I'm surprised. Usually I hear a riff, and upon hearing such beauty, always acknowledge, sing back as offering. This time, when singing back the one note, I find the note I sing resonates, yet not quite fully. I try another note and find the same, and again, and again. I'm baffled. It's a single canyon chord, impossible for me, one human, to sing. It would take a village also to sing us. Years later, what's named by some the celestial monochord comes my way, ringing in from the net. I recognize the chord encounter in Beauty's Mesa with ancient divine sound tones. Beautiful as these are, The net notes feel disembodied, recognizable yet almost a ringing echo of the original, like the sound of one hand clapping to and for itself, forgetting that human music was taught by the land, of the land, resonating back to the land, stirring life itself, a prayer. More than ever, I'm reminded how deeply song and sound are embodied land expressions, the weaving together of seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, heard and unheard, that makes a canyon, a mountain, an ocean, sky, you, me, us, a star, anything. Such is the magnificence of cosmic planetary music and the singing of each note. As we humans extract, pollute, abuse the land, create extinctions, where humans are of her flesh, the songs go too, and so do you, and so do we. I hear, sing the land, sing the land, sing the land. So I like to leave space. I always think, like music, the notes need to land. I also sense, or we also sense that as animate, the window is open, so the words are also flowing out into the world. And maybe if you have your window open, the words are going out into the world. And maybe that's what happens with your words too, when you're out in the world and here. So we're now just going to spend a little bit of time deepening into the poem. Why we think of poetry as kind of consciousness shifting, both in the sense of when we write poetry as well as speak poetry, that for us also that the poem shifts something. So you might wonder what for you has shifted or not in that poem. So I'm not going to do an analysis, which is called, I think, death by analysis. It's like, how do we bring the poem even more alive and into our lives? So some of that I'm going to go into the story of, well, what were we doing in Beauty's Mesa? Bears' ears. I live in Scotland. How did I get over to Beauty's Mesa? Bears' ears. And also, why is this poem called Celestial Landsong? I wondered that. We wondered that. It took me by surprise, it took us by surprise, so it may take you by surprise. You think of kind of being on the ground. Well, actually, the land is in the sky. We're in the sky. We're in the sky. Just take that in for a little moment. The earth is in the sky. So maybe if I begin by saying a bit more about how we got here, because we weren't always here. And I'm noticing there's a lot of young people here too, and that might be interesting as you step more into your adult life as well. But certainly our young years, particularly teenage, adolescent, we were completely disenchanted without any kind of resonance of a real way of moving into life. The felt experience nothing of a way to live into life. This meant things like leaving school with virtually zilch qualifications. It meant going out drinking every night, dancing till 2 o'clock in the morning. And there's wisdom in that. It's like remembering some way of trance dance that is possible in a culture where there is nothing like that, the kind of forgotten ways. And returning, well, not even returning to education. I don't think I was really invested in it at all, but in the mid-20s, we went back and got an A-level and then explored cultural studies in degree in higher education, and then a master's, much to our surprise, in cultural studies. So what that did was enabled us a way to begin to make sense of why it was that we felt there was no way that we could see to step into adulthood that made any sense whatsoever. As part of that way, we were particularly at that time in radical feminism and exploring more cultural history around how the medical and legal professions came in, how these were professionalized, and what happened around the power dynamics. So that, for example, in 1806, doctors were criminalized. By 1967 in England, this is women, for example, who were wanting abortions were criminalized. So again, it completely turned on its head. And during that time, the 19th and 20th centuries, and also before that, women's wisdom, language, bodies, roles were completely redefined. And of course, before that was the whole witch burning, and I'm kind of saying that in inverted commas, known as witch burning, because actually there are mainly normal women who are defined in a way, so it's almost like naming them by who they weren't. How, for example, the Cailleach's hammer in the mythology of the reshaping became the hammer of the law that was used to put women down. And also for us, there's something about how that too is not the full story. Part of the work was exploring all the things like class, race, gender, and these were really the kind of arch subjects that everything was brought into. And of course, men were also part of that definition. I think it's more definition. And what we found, not only in really showing through 3 years research and all the legal papers, parliamentary papers, medicine, the whole process of what happened in the redefinition, which for me meant that, oh, this is not the truth. I believe this was the truth and it's not the truth. And it was the same with anything around the class, gender, race. I felt stuck in it. We felt stuck in it. There was nowhere to go. So I again felt like, oh, there's nowhere to go here. It's like we just go round. And in fact, in some ways, that's what's happening now. Many of the debates in the day world, I think, oh gosh, this has come round again from 40 years ago. It's like, this is not going anywhere. It kind of might go forward a little bit and then back and then we're right round. But it's like the narrative itself holds us. And it's almost like these narratives hold us rather than the earth narrative that we started with, that is holding us in a deeper, wider way. So that then led me to, well, if that's not the truth, what is? And it seems to be this is one of my questions, one of our questions that takes us on to the next stage. And this one, I returned to Scotland, where I was born. I moved down to England for a while. And I wondered, I took some time out. I started working at the Open University up here and took time out in the mountains. And I found I started having all these experiences that were really unexplainable. And I started dreaming different dreams and doing art, and that's when I started writing poetry. And we stumbled into this other conversation of dream, of image, of unknown experiences, sometimes call them original experiences. Now we'd call them kind of soul encounters. And it's interesting how I keep going I and we, because it's really hard. It's really hard to shift a lifelong way. It's so kind of in the groove. But I'm keeping trying. And so are we. One has to laugh. So this culminated one day. We were walking in the forest by the river Findhorn, and as we were walking, feeling deeply in love with the earth, just so in love. This is 30 years ago. Imagining everything new that I was there. We were speaking, singing out, completely in love with the roots of the trees, with the water gurgling, with the sound of the pine. It was November, all the pine needles on the ground. And I was striding out along the river and sat out on a boulder that was jumped onto in the river, pretending to be a gnome. And it was an utter innocence, utter beginner's mind, utter, we might say, East. Completely open. And coming back along the path, we suddenly heard this beautiful singing, a voice never heard before. Oh, that's weird. Decided to go back and thought, there's nobody else out here. And I wandered through the branches of the trees and I could hear the singing even more. And as I look round, there's no people, yet this voice. keep singing. So we're now looking for tape recorders at the roots of trees, but no tape recorder. And so we're following this voice, and sure enough, it's coming from one small spruce tree. And the tree stops singing and then starts singing 3 notes, and then leaving a gap, and then singing 3 notes and leaving a gap. So our world really was quite shattered by that point. Everything that we had thought had gone out the window completely. She's inviting us to sing in. And so in the space, we sang the 3 notes. The tree sang another 3 notes. I thought, well, it's just not making a tune. It's not a riff. But we sang the notes anyway, so there were 6 notes. And she then added another 2 notes, which was a riff. And really, we were completely blown. 1, the tree is conscious, the tree knows we're there. 2, not only conscious, actually in conversation, in invitation. One might say ushering us into song. And so we sang the riff and sang it in utter joy, like this was so enchanting. There it is. It's like the disenchantment and the longing for enchantment is what led all those years, which now even 30 years ago, to the truth. And so we sang this riff, which is la 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 la. So the riff was sung and the whole forest sang out in rounds of that song. And we have never heard anything like it. But that was, we'd say, the death and the birth of a way of living, because when we know on such a physical, experiential level of our communion and the longing for earth to usher and hear our voices, then that's the way to go. Now I could see a way in which our life could live into an adult way, and to bring another way for others to join in this song. And of course, for some, it's not a song, it's a dance, it's a building, it's a guiding, it's a painting. The many things that Earth is calling us into. So that's what took me. I had to just leave the Open University and wander further. There's something I realized in the enchantments, that almost the culture, the work that I've been doing, that was the spell that has us all bound in it. And it's only in a way by leaving that we can come to know our own being in a certain way, because looking back at all the work that I've done, it's all in the work. The disenchantment, the searching through the different ways that were possible through academia, that way that only took me so far into the woods, quite literally. And from there, moving into psychosynthesis, which you may or may not know, which also has the parts of us, and also as a psychospiritual psychology. So it's a way to go beyond the everyday class, gender, all those kind of things that I feel get us stuck. That might not be a very popular way, as we're there again today, but it's who are we underneath that, and how does that, or how may that actually distract us from what else is going on? Not that it doesn't matter, because obviously all those things have real impacts, and there's something else going on. It's like the earth is going, hello, hello. This continual, our experience, invitation, being ushered into that celestial Landsong. And of course, those years is, I think, a lovely example of living soulfully. Soulful living, which is also different, so that part of the death in the hearing of the song was knowing that we could not live a normal, in inverted commas, life, that there was a different path we had to make and take. And in many ways, that was also a death for kin and friends, because there was a real shift in who I was in the world. So many of their dreams for me were also, had also died at that point. So just acknowledging all the deaths. It's not just the me, the I, but there's this resonance of the we and the impact of the we. So how are you doing? Okay. Thumbs up. Yeah, beautiful. So there's a sense now of living in the enchanted truth of this cosmos and of the earth, and of the ways in which humans are being ushered, invited into a greater song of remembering of what is possible for each of us. So this, of course, experience is also what fed something of Celestial Landsong, that poem that maybe has taken 30 years to write, or maybe 4.6 billion years to write. And maybe that's something also of what we're here for in a different way, something to wonder about. And we had many experiences after this, and after psychosynthesis, which again only took us so far, we got stuck again and had to wander. Wendy, by the way, means wanderer. So for me and for us, it's not just, as it were, a stage in development. It's actually part of who we are, a wanderer. And I keep having to wander at different times. And we find that great, because it means we're always developing into more of who and what is being asked of us in that being held in place in gravity's law and surrendering to Earth's intelligence, that intelligence that you so beautifully brought us into in the introduction. It's ongoing, and when it stops is when we're dead, and then it'll still keep growing in another way. So, yeah. The thing with this celestial landing was it was an experience that was remembered through something that was on the net. And this remembering of the monochord that was not possible for us to sing back. And whilst on the one hand, the forest singing in rounds, that was impossible to sing back, but we could sing into it and with it. But this monochord was something else altogether. And I trust the timing of these things, of mysteries, ways, way more than our ways. And this being baffled. And we did ask folk if they had questions. And there were 2 questions more, but 2 I'll bring in. One, someone said, well, what is that mono chord? Because mono is one, isn't it? And what we found with this monochord was that it was almost like a hologram where everything was in the one. And we have a sense that this is different than unity, that there's something else happens in this one chord. It's the chord that holds everything in the chord, and impossible for us to sing in. Like, it goes way beyond the individual, goes way beyond the human-centric. It's kind of all living beings and this singing together. Also that we can't sing on our own in a way that Earth is inviting us. And someone else asked me to say more about this. And when we went more into this, we ended weeping because there was something in that. It's a single canyon chord, impossible for me, one human to sing. It would take a village also to sing us. And for there was something that is so intimate, that this relation between the human and the earth is kind of, it's what humans are born for being part of that chord and the aliveness of the song of the earth, in whatever way that is. Because there's also that one which is the unique or the original to sing in, and it's all of it that so deeply touched by. So the monochord. And the one hand clapping for itself, becoming a prayer. And it's like humans currently have got one hand up. And it's the making of this prayer that is holy making, a resecration, both of human and of earth. That, we're invited, ushered in by earth, and maybe in these 3 days you'll feel yourself being ushered in different ways. As the earth kind of continually goes, hello, hello. And another thing about the poetry and the language is a different language from the day world way of language. So this is all about the poetry, about the intimacy with Earth, the Earth's intelligence, the deep listening, the symbols, the metaphors, the myths that come alive and enliven the world. So yes, as we humans extract, pollute, abuse the land, create extinctions where humans are of our flesh, the songs go too. It's like the monochord disappears. But as at the start, when we brought all those voices in, if all those other voices go, we too are less. So in a way, already our voices are going. We were reading just yesterday, for example, in California, you folks might have seen it as well, the last known man of the Yahi, of the Yani tribe in California, came out, as it were, and needed to find another way of being. He was the last of his tribe, and his tribe had been devastated by the gold rush, by the people who had arrived in their territory. So humans are already being made extinct. It's ongoing, it's not something new. It's only if we think of a particular kind of human as white, middle class, I don't know, you know what I mean. I kind of could find myself going back into the whole class race conversation, and noting this, this is happening. It's not that humans will be extinct. It's already happening along with others. And yet it seems to me Earth is still going, hello, still going, da, 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 da. And maybe you too have your own tune that Earth is longing for you to usher into the world, to bring the world alive. So, in some ways, the enchanted world is more the truth, the experience, this alignment with Earth, rather than a particular kind of human culture. For example, I don't know about where you were this week, we had the clocks go forward an hour, so literally the timings of the culture is directed to particular interests of the culture rather than a kind of prayer alignment with Earth and Earthsong. Maybe it's the culture that is in the spell, and we trust also the ways in which that spell will be broken, and the way that we were invited by the tree, for example, kind of, may you wander, may you be open, may you be curious, innocent. And even when we're on the journey, there's always another layer that we're being invited into. I'm aware that folks are continuing to arrive, so I just wanted to acknowledge those who have been arriving as we've been speaking here. And also, if you hadn't noticed, the poem is in the chat if you wanted to see that or copy it at any time. So I wanted also to speak a bit about the work and where the work is going now. This soulful living, this lifetime of soulful living, which is very different than the modern culture has us living. Before I do that is an invitation, this monochord, this magical, enchanted monochord, whether you would be willing to, we're going to be unmuted, we're all going to be unmuted, if you would be willing to sing in just a note of what is your body resonating with right now. So this is not about getting it right, sounding good. Maybe about, I don't know if you can hear the birds in the garden here, they just sing out. They have no shame whatsoever. They just sing their song. And what might happen if all of us just sang our song into the world? So the invitation is, what might it sound like? Even all together, just to sing in this kind of monochord, this response. We may think of it as a response to Earth of a kind of yes. We want to hear your song. We're willing to sing in with you. We're saying yes to mystery. We're saying yes to this enchanting path of possibility where we haven't a clue actually what might happen, which actually is what's happening right now. We do not have a clue. We might have ideas, we might have hints and glimpses, but what if it could be way more beautiful, way more enchanting in listening to Earth's intelligence and allowing ourselves to being held in place, even just by all the voices that we came in with at the start of today. So if you're willing, just open your audio, unmute yourselves, and let's just experiment, let's play, let's see what happens.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Birds in the garden here, they're going crazy. They are loving this. So, would you have thought an hour and a half ago that you would have been singing notes into the world and joining in a monochord chorus of voices and being enjoyed not only by us but by sparrows and maybe others where you are too? So may you sing your notes into the world. You might also notice what's happening in your body right now. How's your body feeling? Maybe we can open the chat again just for a moment to write down. I know for us are feeling more aliveness and also pleasure and playfulness and so there are a number of ways that we've kind of been taking this beautiful vibrating connection across space and time, shivers down my spine. See, you're poets as well. Vibrating connection across space and time, shivers down my spine. Trembling energy. Thank you. Thank you for your voices and for joining in. So there are many ways that we have taken these experiences in order to create ways of soulful living in these times that can influence and create ways for others to come in. One is the soul guiding, the meeting with animus, with their beautiful language and all the ways that we've been describing here, of taking time out on the land, of being in conversation, of the animacy, of the deep imagination, offering time more fully. Part of this poem, remembering years ago walking in Beauty's Mesa near Bear's Ears, was when we were apprentice guide 10 years ago now with Animas Valley Institute and with a dear sister wandering with her at that time. Another way for us to live out our deep listening with Earth has been creating Earthsongwave Dawn Chorus, which has just taken place on the 1st of April each year. So it was the 8th year this year. And that is a wide invitation to sing back to Earth. So very much an invitation from the experience with the trees. And that one experience of singing with the tree in the forest singing what might happen if we all sang at a particular moment around the earth. What might happen? We get full of excitement about that, as you may have realized already, but it might be worth looking up on that. And that is a completely gifted offering as a feed the earth, because the poem here is: we extract, pollute, abuse, create extinctions. This is part of a way of singing the songs back into earth, to feeding the earth, to being in ceremony with earth, which is another way of earth's language. There is a particular earth's language. And this year's has been just astonishing with the experiences that people have been experiencing. And of course, the willingness to say yes, the willingness to experience enchantments, experiencing ourselves on earth, going into not knowing. Another way, I'm just going into Abbey of Soul. So if you're not interested, I'm just kind of noting that this is what I'm doing now, just letting you know about how to dive more into this particular way of we and of the human and more than human ways of living soulfully into the world. And this is through Abbey of Soul, so that's taking this another way, which is much more around a real different kind of holiness. The holiness of earth, the holiness of the sacred, the Celestial Landsong is bringing in, relating the human and the more than human. And I know in many ways we all have different words and languages around this as well. Abbey of Soul is something to live into. It's a place that the songs can be sung and spoken and shared in creating new language, like we, like returning again to the ancient ways and also to the new ways that are wanting, because there are also springs coming up all the time of fresh water that has not been at the surface before, so the newness of things. Okay, I'm just wondering, maybe to finish here just with acknowledging these 3 days that folks you're all making possible by being here, and that Sandra Horia, Richard Vulture, has just astonishingly, amazing work you've all put together, the team, to get us all here, all of us, and wishing you all the best in these 3 days. And may you take this Celestial Landsong with you. May this session have ushered you into a taste and a sense of soulful living, or confirming either way for you. And may this ushering have really showed also this way in which humans were weaving together again with the more than human world. And as we are in the sky, as we are turning, spinning in the sky, of the animacy of the world. And may you all step into the treasures that are kept safe within you, or that you're already singing and putting in the world today. Holy, holy, holy. Sing the land, sing the land, sing the land.
Mm, mm. Holy woman, thank you, Aya. Thank you for the poem that you are and the poem that you gifted us with, and the unique way that you're stirring at least my imagination. Thank you for bringing us closer to what matters and what is enchanted and where to pay attention. And into this amazing I versus we story that we are living in or from. Thank you. And thank you for your blessings. You are, your ripples are just showering me with delight. Thank you.
Yes, it's so important, isn't it, to think of these ripples, that there are ripples here with all of us, and they're also out in the world, and all of us is also not just human. So the ripples are in the world, in the birds, in the breeze, in the wind, in the waves of the sea, not far from the window here, in the seen ones and the unseen. Who knows where this session, where all the sessions are being blown with the unseen, with the so far unheard.
Thank you. Yeah, who knows where our particular song will find us.
Yes, and it's not our responsibility in some ways to know. Beauty's Mesa, for example, was named by someone who was called Beauty, and maybe more than 10 years ago, because that was when we were there, so maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, that was named. But Beauty has no idea, or maybe she does now, that it's now called Beauty's Mesa. We don't know where our gifts go. We have no idea. The important thing is to speak them, to sing them, to dance them, to draw them, to paint them. Let them out.
Wait. Blessing. Gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, the whole circle here, the circle that patiently and with reverence listened to this one.